Greetings, I'm Dike Rostant. Welcome back to the TTT News. It may be easy to let the 16 Days of Activism fall off after the news cycle after December 10, but the work continues, and we are happy to go in-depth on that work being done by founder of the NINA Young Women's Leadership Program, Akosua Edwards, and the Technology Consultant Kelz Bethel. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. And Madam Akosua, I want to start off with you, please. What is the NINA Young Women's Leadership Program?
Thank you, Dike, and thank you for having us here. The NINA program really started off quite a few years ago as part of the research that I was doing on how young ladies were looking at entrepreneurship as a last resort rather than as a career. So I went into a few schools and we started using entrepreneurship principles as an empowerment vehicle and letting them know that they can create the lives that they want. And from that, I noticed that there were some young ladies who had challenges outside of school. And it kind of morphed into a program that works with at-risk young ladies and young ladies in schools. So right now we have an arm of the program that focuses on girls who transition from state care into mainstream society. And we provide a village, a support system, a safe space for them to transition with the right tools and the right support, whether it be emotional or financial. So the NINA program really provides that village, and we look to raise young leaders within Trinidad and Tobago that can uplift themselves and uplift the country by extension.
Now, I hear entrepreneurship as empowerment. I hear that community, that village raising the child. If we had to distill and say, okay, well, these are some of the specific goals and these are some of the activities that we use to reach those goals, what would they be?
Well, the first thing is self-awareness. We really focus on knowing who you are and using your sense of authenticity as how to navigate into the world. We also look at coming together and supporting one another. So young ladies supporting each other as they transition. And we do this through a combination of things. One, we always look at starting with yoga and meditation so that we can quiet the mind and recognize and show the young ladies that your mind is so powerful that once you have a hold of that and you have the techniques to quiet the mind, then you can be more self-aware and you can handle the situations in front of you. We have our program called Choices, and it's broken up into different themes. So it's choices on money, choices on sex, choices on relationships, choices on career. And that program is built around a psychologist, and we deal with the issues that arise and making the best choices in front of you, given what you have, and really look at taking what you have, and rather than looking at the victimhood, we look at how our story can empower us and empower the other people around you. In the schools, we focus on the sixth form students mainly, and because entrepreneurship has now been included in the curriculum, we work towards them doing their CAPE exams. And I must say that over the years, we have received scholarships, and the NINA participants have been in the top 10 in the Caribbean in entrepreneurship as well. And they also, coming out of the schools, the ones who graduate and go into university, come back to mentor the young ladies from the St. Jude's home and transitioning from state care. So it's mentorship, it's self-awareness, it is having a support system and choices.
And it really feels as though there's a lot to do with mindset and how it is you frame your situation and your narrative. And with with a Master of Sciences in Psychology. I want to talk to Kelz now. Ms. Bethel, and in terms of building tech for humanity versus building tech for fatter pockets, explain the rationale with that for me, please.
Yeah, so essentially, I was in the tech space for 14 years, and I sort of made a personal pivot or transition, wanting to use technology to really make a social impact. And, as the stars aligned and would have it, I was involved with the NINA program. And this was the first project that I started to work on that was able to merge, my passion for social impact, psychology, mental health, and using my years of experience in the startup and tech space to create a project that could really help lives and make a difference. And with the G.I.R.L.S app, that's what we created with the NINA program. The G.I.R.L.S app is really about creating this tool to be that companion for the girls and the girls that are transitioning, as Akosua mentioned.
But explain that for me, please, in terms of how does that intersection work? Mental health, tech, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's like the perfect balance, right? In terms of mental health, statistically showing mental health, there's a lot of stigma within the Caribbean spaces and within emerging markets such as ours. And using technology, the aim here is so that we could sort of reduce to make it easier, to make it more accessible using technology, right? To sort of reduce that stigma and make mental health normalized through the use of technology. So that's one thing. And the next thing is scale, right? Using technology, you'd be able to impact more people globally. There actually are a shortage of behavioral health professionals globally. And so my thesis is really simple, that we need to build technology that's able to reach more people and make it more accessible, which is financial, because, typically therapy, all these things have a financial cost to it, right? So really and truly, it's about creating technology that will help to increase scale and make mental health or behavioral health more accessible to more people. And I think that with the G.I.R.L.S app and working with the NINA program, that is just the first project that is really doing that for these girls and for young adults.
And I want to get into that in just a little bit, but just before we take the break, Akosua, it seems as though there was a sort of pivot in April 2021, and I want to ask what that pivot was triggered by, as well as we'll talk about how it is you ladies actually met, because we've touched on the G.I.R.L.S app, but we haven't started to speak about it as yet, per se.
Okay. So basically in April, we had to stop the in-person contact with all the girls because of the pandemic. And that kind of gave us an opportunity to reset and say, how can we continue doing something that would impact the young ladies and still make them feel as they are not alone? And with the app is really a tool where they can say how they feel. And Kelly will explain a little bit more, but it's a journal-based app. So there would be a pop-up asking you, how do you feel today? And if, for example, you feel depressed or you feel down, there's a link. Over a period of time, of course, there's a link which will take you back to our on-site psychologist, and a video would pop up and it would give you some tips. So it really was a companion to the young ladies after April, and it really allowed for them to still feel that they had an opportunity to vent their feelings and to have the resources available, because also linked to the app are other resources that they can tap into, mental health and wellness. If they have a problem, they could call on the police, etc. That is freely available and readily available on the app. So
we want to talk about some of those, and I don't want you to have to curtail the explanation, so we talk about some of those resources when we return. We are speaking with Kelz Bethel and Akosua Edwards. Stay with us. We return with so much more. Welcome back. We are going in depth on the G.I.R.L.S app with Akosua Edwards and Kelz Bethel. And Kelz, what is the G.I.R.L.S app from your point of view as this technology guru?
The G.I.R.L.S app is a companion, as Akosua mentioned before the break. We wanted to have this companion tool that anybody, any girl that is transitioning, adolescence is a interesting time. So we wanted to create this companion that you could have in your pocket, that if in case that you feel a particular way, it's always there to provide resources. So that was the initial intention of the app, to be a companion so that resources are at your fingertip through technology. What we ended up building, however, is through the journaling component. We wanted to allow girls to express their emotions, to see how they're feeling, because research has shown that, journaling really helps us to get out our emotions based on, positive psychology. So we tied the idea of this journal and gave context to the resources. So rather than just having like a list of resources in an app, we wanted to ensure that the application was a daily tool that helped girls to form a daily habit, while at the same time giving them contextual resources. And some of those resources they would state how they feel today via a little emoji, and they would state, what are their high for today, what is their lows for today, and based on the information that they put in, they would have a video that would help them through some of that. If they feel happy, we would send a happy video so that they could hold on to that happy feeling. And depending on some of the things that are behind their highs and their lows, we also have resources that are specific for some of those categories. And some of those categories are sex and relationships, mental health, finances, entrepreneurship, because we know that entrepreneurship is a big component of the NINA program. So depending on what is behind some of the feelings and the emotions that you may be experiencing, we have both a video that gives that visual connection to be that companion, but also the resources that are contextual to what you may be facing on a particular day.
Did you find it easier that there was I don't necessarily want to say impersonal, but there is the application that journaling can happen, articulation of thoughts can happen, and if there are some words that you're looking for, some states that you're looking for, then it links back to a human resource? Did that bridge become a little easier because of the app?
Yeah, definitely, because, when we started building the app, it was really, as Akosua said, the NINA program is to build a village and a community. So really, we wanted to connect some of the feeling and the support that we know that we have in person to the application. So familiar faces, Sanji, for example, is a therapist. She would have videos within the application. So to create that connection and that familiarity within the application. So the human touch and that connection is a big part of how we built and designed the application.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now, Akosua, it seems as though the initial targets that you all set in terms of building the app, that would have grown as time progressed. How do you populate the app? Who is the specific target grouping? And what are some of those other things that you can tell us about the app and its intended audience?
Well, we were very intentional in using the young ladies who are transitioning from state care into mainstream society for this app. So we sat down and we asked them during our Choices program, what would support you as we go into this period? And they came up with the name, Growing Independent, Resilient Ladies Sustainably, because they aspire to be independent ladies. So they came up with the name, and the young lady who came up with the name, she is now the face of the app. And that kind of gave them some ownership of it. We really looked at kind of expanding on the areas that we focus on in our Choices program. And so we have the health and wellness, we have the finance, we have relationships, and sex and sexuality as well. And what we also did is some of the young ladies, they wrote their story, and we would choose one or two of their stories to put on the app so that they also feel that they're seeing themselves as well. So other young ladies who didn't know the story of Kylie or Nicolette or whatever, whoever wrote the story, they will now feel a little bit connected and know that they're not alone. So we really looked at using the young ladies and their experiences and what they would want. And who we're targeting, any young lady who is transitioning from adulthood, from teenage to adulthood, from at-risk situations, from state care. We really want to expand the app for young ladies in general who need resources and who want to really connect in a way that is non-judgmental. They can put their ideas on the journal and connect in a way that they feel supported whilst they transition. So anyone can use the app. I mean, some of the girls were saying that some of the boys they introduced it to want their own app now. So I guess for us, we felt, we started to laugh really, and we said, okay, well, anybody could use this app because it doesn't feel, targeted to just young ladies in transition. But that is really our target market.
Definitely.
I mean, adults could use it as well.
Definitely inclusionary, and we thank you for that. Now, in the short time frame we have, how do people engage with the app? Where do they find it so they can make use of it? And so we're looking for that information from you, Thas.
Kelly would be the best person to answer that question.
Yeah,
so I'll pass it over to Kelly.
All right, so the app is available at any app store. So the Apple App Store as well as the Google Play Store. So you could just go on and search G. because it's an acronym, right? So G.I.R.L.S, and you would see it pop up and you download free of charge, and you could just sign up and get started and using the app. So just on the Google Play Store or the Android or the iOS Store, free to download and free to use.
And we want to thank you so much for the work that you are doing and continue to do, Kelz Bethel and Akosua Edwards. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for joining us.